Hello world, my name is Sima and it's time to tell you how we celebrated the New Year holidays in Preface Detention Center. If you watched my early videos, you know that just before 31st of December we had a grand schmon on which we lost all homemade alcohol and one phone which was on that time. And however, long before these set events, the former senior of our cell asked the whole cell to prepare performances for the new year to cheer each other up. And we prepared performances with modified songs, sketches about prison life, and self-composed poems. Despite the conflict that arose that day, if you remember, there was a coup, and despite it, we managed to hold the concert, and the atmosphere remained tense because everyone was angry with everyone, and on these performances, lots of people tried to say bad jokes to each other, and it was not so. The mood was far away from festive, and that's why I heard just before that you can drink coffee with cola and it's just kind of fun, but it's not a fun, it's not so funny, and for those who doesn't know, coffee with cola, it's a disgusting stimulant. The principle is simple. You take 3 tablespoons with instant coffee and pour cola over it and stir simultaneously, and then you drink at once, not for a long drink, it's just like shot, and it tastes awful, but the effects are even worse because you feel increased heart rate, and it's difficult to breathe, and restlessness. So after drinking this disgusting stimulant, I couldn't find place for myself. You know, you're so interactive and active and reactive. Yeah, like that. So I asked ex-senior of our cell to make roads with all cells with whom we are in good relations, to ask them maybe they can sold us some alcohol for cigarettes as currency. And we wrote malavas. If you remember, this is small letters which you can send by the post of roads. And for sure, if you know, there couldn't be a lot of alcohol, and every cell where we wrote said us that they had little for themselves, and we didn't find any alcohol, so we went to sleep after the chimes rang. And for the prison, holidays like New Year, and in Russia in May there are long holidays too. Are the most inactive periods when nothing really happens, and we called it that time because 10 days without letters, without any news from the freedom, and no access to gym, constantly reading books, it strained the eyes. And that's why we decided to play a prank on the new senior, Vladlen, and reveal her true nature to those who hadn't figured her out yet. So what we've done, we made a hookah for cannabis from a plastic bottle. That's how it looks like. In Russia we call it duck because it looks like duck, and everyone knows that from this bottle you can smoke cannabis. So we hadn't got any drugs in Pretrial Detention Center, so we smoked regular tobacco through it, and disposed of it deep in 40-liter garbage bag. Can you imagine 40 liters garbage bag full of trash? Really stinks. So we put this button right inside, just to the end of this bag, and we waited for her response. Because there were people who vote for her and saw that we smoke from this bottle, they rushed to her and say that we smoking cannabis, and we were waiting for her response, and it didn't take long. Vladlen rummaged through the entire trash bin. She was all in this trash, and she was ruining this trash bin, and she found the bottle and immediately ran to call the duty administration by loudly knocking in brakes. If you remember, when I were in quarantine, I was loudly knocking in brakes and shouting to ask for medical help, and I thought that was loud, but no. Vladlen was shouting hysterically and knocking to the door as if she was dying. And the most funniest thing that at the general meeting, when the coup was, she shouted the loudest, that accusing the young senior of being a snitch, while she herself rushed as a Gepard to complain about us, because any situation, if it's happened in the cell, first of all, you have to figure out between inmates what happened, and normal senior of cell just speak with people with whom was an accident, yeah, or any accident. If it was, just first of all you have to speak with prisoners, but she immediately ran to snitch at us. So, and during the half-hour interrogation of both sides of the conflict, Vladlen and the ex-senior youngest one, the administration had such trust in the ousted senior, this youngest one, because she was working for them and they know that they trust her. So there was no doubt it was just a bug and nothing else, because who is Vladlen? They even don't know who is she. And after this outcome, Vladlen found nothing better to do than to faint in a fake faint, because she done it many times, and she dramatically faint and gracefully collapse onto the floor in any unclear situation. And since everyone was familiar with this act, the only option left was to laugh at her attempts to attract attention by any possible ways. And this time, they were just the administration and the ex-senior and Vladlen in the corridor, and there were no perceptive spectators ready to rush to her aid and to help her. And it was cold laying on the floor in this establishment. And after waiting for the audience for too long, Granny cracked open one eye, her eye, to assess the situation. It was really funny because she pretended to be very ill, but if something interesting happened in the cell, she was the most healthiest and the most fastest, the most, everywhere. But if something happened against her, she just, oh, I feel not well, and she always felt in a faint. And I have told you about just one person, the most remarkable character, so to speak, but in reality, there were many of them, and you're unlikely to encounter such people in freedom, as all their rotten qualities manifest in prison, in their ability to build interpersonal relationships with people whom they don't choose at their cohabitants, but are forced to live together within a super small cell, a real small cell. You saw on the photo in previous videos I showed you many times. And I was categorical person before I went to prison, and I'm still ashamed to remember that in the coup that was in my cell, I lost my temper and told Vladlen that it was unthinkable to her to be a senior of the cell if she already had one foot in the grave. and those terrible words that came out of me at that moment still make me blush, and thanks to people like Vladlen, because by them I realized that I don't change myself. If I don't change myself, the world around me won't change too. And it's not the world that is bad or good, but only your vision of the world that determines both your existence and what happens around you. So stay positive to make everything around you good, and don't forget to subscribe. See you soon. Bye.